Sitting there all by yourself and waiting all alone. I hear you calling me. So you know I'm coming. Just one left to go. Wait over here now. Believe me when I cry, dark and cold it is outside. But you're always on my mind, warming me up inside. 'Cause you're like the sunshine over me. You're like the baking sun, and I'm feeling all your love. You're like the sun.
A long time ago when I was a kid, in fact even before I was born actually, my dad did a very similar thing. He was working down in Lagos in Nigeria in the 70s, and he did a journey across the Sahara. And he'd always sort of told me the stories about it, but there were never any pictures because he didn't have a camera with him at the time.
The money we're spending on this, a lot of people will spend it, you know, going to Spain for 2 weeks. And we're travelling a few more miles.
We took 5,000 miles across 6 different countries. From 2012, they're bringing in a law, so you won't be able to do what we're going to be doing in a couple of years' time. You'll need a new vehicle. So like in Senegal, where you can't take in an old car, they're going to bring in that rule into some of the countries around where we're going.
Do you think they do that because there's a lot of people like ourselves taking older vehicles in and
importing them in and selling them in Western Africa? People do it for business.
Because originally we thought about going with Range Rover, hadn't we? Land Rover.
TMS.
Even though this is a Peterly that's probably 11 odd years old, you're still looking at like £4,500, £5,000 easy.
They're built like bricks. There's a big demand for Japanese 4x4s because there's such a shortage of vehicles. West Africa, you can sell a car for almost double what you pay in England. I mean, we got them for around 1,200.
And I say if we recoup 50% of that, I'll be more than happy. Here we are. 8 weeks away.
Yeah, we should get moved. We should make tracks.
Just gotta put this stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
See if these work. Can you hear me?
Yes, mate. Loud and clear.
Alright, let's go. When I was preparing the vehicles for Europe, you've got to do a lot of things by law, otherwise you get fined for it. Things like having a high-vis vest, having a GB sticker on the back, beam deflectors on the front, warning triangle, fire extinguisher, spare set of light bulbs, all these ridiculous things. One of them on top of that, it's not enough to have your license, photo card, you need your counterpart to it, which I've left in London. We're going to leave Geo at our services and then I'll go in, get the counterpart, come back out, try and find Geo and then try and make it to the ferry before it leaves. Do you want to go for these services here? Because I should be coming back this way.
Okay.
I'm going to get my roll mat out. I think I might go on that bank there and have a bit of a sleep.
After 80 yards, you have reached your destination on your left.
Can you see the bridge going out?
Yeah, I've got you. Exactly lane.
Yeah, you're on the south end of that. We're on the north end. That flyover over there, only for emergencies or hotel guests. He's got to be on this end anyway, so I've just told him to get on the M25, go a junction on, turn around, come back in here and meet us here. He'd just gone and done it anyway because he didn't want to go down 4 miles and turn around.
Pushing now.
12:30.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 hours. I don't think I've ever seen so many cars go past me in my life. They're fine at slow speeds, they've got so much torque, so much low end. I mean, we're only doing 50 at the moment. This car can do 60 pretty comfortably, but Gio back there, he's revving the tits out of his, just doing 55. So I've got to make sure we don't go too fast, otherwise he's going to blow his engine probably. But great, under 50 mile an hour, and then no problem. I was feeling a bit patriotic as we were leaving. I don't know why.
No, I don't blame you, mate. It's a big thing that we're undertaking.
Yeah, I kind of felt a little sad seeing England disappear.
I didn't feel it myself, but
You felt nothing.
but I'm cold-hearted, so.
When we get over to France, firstly I've got to learn how to drive on the right because I've never done that.
Yeah.
But
just keep in mind that you've got to keep that curb to your right-hand side at all times. The roundabouts are the most important.
I was going to
thing,
say,
right?
figuring out what lane to get in,
it's
going to be a bit weird.
You're not the best there.
Says you swerving all over the road trying to pick up the radio.
Would you come now, please just hold my hand, hold my hand, yeah. Hold my hand, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, mate. You alright?
Can you say you've seen an ocean? Can you say you've seen the sun? What would you do if it was gone? 'Cause I have seen them all, my love. I have seen them all, my son. And I can see that it's begun. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
A peso.
No, a peso no, unidad.
I'll tell you what would be nice with this. If he'll do is a little bit of manchego, which is really, really nice cheese.
I'll couple. Let's see.
Aye, okay.
For €8, we've got a salad for 3 people, and that's a bargain.
When it's gone, when it's gone, when it's gone, when it's
To show you how a lot of guys and women have been taking the money off in shops. I went to give him the money and he kind of snatched it out of my hand. The lady before at the place we pulled over for those sandwiches just did exactly the same thing. Snatched it out of my hand. Next time I'm going to put it on the counter.
There's something about a dog that stares that makes me feel nervous.
We don't want to be any further than 350 odd miles away from our nearest place where we can fill up.
We won't be any further than 100 miles away, I don't think, from at least a major village.
I'm getting about 27 miles to the gallon from this.
That's not bad.
Considering it's like, what,
Yeah, that's not
15-year-old.
I must be getting like 35. Because you're using a third more petrol diesel than I am.
It's just in Mali and that I'm a bit
Yeah.
sceptical about.
We won't have sat-nav from Morocco. When we're in Morocco it's fine, and then when we cross the border into Western Sahara we're totally on the right there.
Any opportunity, fill up.
My love, please won't you stand? Be strong now like I know you can. I can't seem to find my gun. Must have put it down on the old tin trunk. But don't you think about now all the bad things we have done. We don't have time to.
Are we heading in the right direction?
That's negative. It's 5 miles including 10 and back on ourselves in a minute.
Spreading its love on this broken land, my love. Soon you will understand. But right about now you better hold my hand. Trust me, these men are bad. Lie and deceive wherever they can. You don't.
641 miles in one day, which is the most we have ever done. How'd you find it?
I found it okay. After the can of Red Bull, halfway through, I needed something for a bit of pick-me-up, to be honest with you.
We just got some shopping for our trip across to Morocco.
The only perishable stuff is fruits, which we're going to eat quite early on into the journey. Everything else like pasta, rice, spaghetti, dried fruits, stuff like that. Tin tomatoes, obviously to cook the tin vegetables for the rice, but we'll put a bit of chilli and stuff in there to kick it up. And peaches and pears.
I accounted for 10 litres of water per person per day when we're in the desert. And the water that we got in both these vehicles now is enough for probably 4 days, not having to ration at all, and for 10 litres a day. If we had to ration, we could easily double that, I would have thought.
You've got to remember that it's not only for drinking, it's for washing our clothes, washing ourselves, dishes.
Second exit.
Nice steak then.
Yeah, good. I don't think we'll be eating anything like this when we head over.
Is that what you choose for your last meal?
Watermelon. What would you have?
Pizza.
Really? Your own shop one?
Of course. I wouldn't eat anything else. What we've got here is a length of, 2 metres worth of fuel resistant hose. We went into a local shop that sold like scuba diving stuff, and luckily they had some. The idea behind it is, if we ever get really stuck, one of the vehicles has got fuel, the other one hasn't, we can siphon through sucking the fuel out and putting it into a jerry can, then into another vehicle. But we've got to test whether this is going to touch the tank or not.
There you go.
You wouldn't be able to do this with a modern vehicle.
Yeah, you can
Looks
see
to
it.
me like it's just touching.
Also, bribery in action. We're going to take these across the border and use them if we're in any sticky situations. When we did some research online, it said ferries from Tarifa. It seemed to say that there were slow and fast ones. When we got here though, there was only 2 companies, both fast ferries, with €1 difference in price.
And the slow ferry goes from Algeciras, which is too far that way.
So we decided to stump up the cash. €247 for 3 people and 2 4x4s.
About €83 each.
Yeah. But we'll get there in 45 minutes apparently. Everything was all going swimmingly. We got on the ferry, we arrive into the port. That's when things start to get a little wild, to say the least. I almost got in a fight with one of the civil guardians. I couldn't tell what he was saying. I was standing in the car and he was talking to me in Arabic, I think, and I leant in closer to listen to what he was saying to try and work out what it was, and he took that as me being aggressive. He straight away tried to beat me down.
Get in your car! In your car!
And Dan was like, right over there.
Okay mate,
chill out. So then I got in the car. We did have the temporary importation document, which was really useful because we had that pre-filled in rather than having to read Arabic. But we had a problem with insurance because we don't have any. If anyone was to ever do this, get a green card because it saves a lot of hassle. We pulled in to the port and they said it'll open at 8 o'clock.
Basically they'd gone off to eat for because it's Ramadan at the moment, but there was only going to be another 1 or 2 ferries after 8 o'clock. when we realised that it wasn't going to turn up, so we jumped into the cars, came to the nearest place, which was literally like 3 minutes up the road.
Okay, so we're going to get insurance, yeah? Bonjour. Parlez-vous anglais? We need those. 5 jours. 2 cars, yeah? We were led to believe that you could only get 6 months and a year insurance, whereas you can get it for 5, 10, 1 month, 2 to 3 months and 6 months. Merci, merci.
The plan was to get to the British Embassy, but apparently the British Embassy is quite a way away and they close at 4:30, so we're not going to make that. So the other plan was to get to the Mauritanian and the Mali embassies, one or the other, because you have to hand in your passport. So it's going to take at least a day. So I think we're going to be here for at least 2 or 3 days. So the best idea will be to get to one of those two and to get a hotel close by and get applications in for the morning, or if not, they might take them this evening, which would be a good thing. But you know, we'll see. You know, we're in their hands basically. Without a visa, we're not going anywhere. So let's just keep fingers crossed. Where is everyone? We're having to prepare some little bit of food in the room because it's Ramadan and nowhere's open till, what did they say, 6 o'clock? So we're just going to have like a triple decker sandwich. I'm not sure how appetising it's going to be or look, but it's the best we can do, I'm afraid. And times are hard.
We went to the place where we get the Mauritanian visas. Not too much of a problem, it was about 320 dirham I think. We arrived at about 8 o'clock, opened at 8:45 in the morning. And they gave us a visa form which is all in French. We filled out what we could, and luckily there was a guy who could also speak a little bit of English, and he helped us fill out the forms. It's basically what you have on your passport, why you're going, how long for. And then on the other side, it's just things like, have you been here before? Is there anyone to receive you? What address are you going to? Which obviously we didn't have, so we just sort of left most of that blank. Then we go to a little hut, go in, there's a guy there, he asks for 2 passport photos and a photocopy of your passport, and you pay the man, he takes your passport, and today is Friday, and we pick up our visas on Monday. Unfortunately, our cameraman is American, and it turns out that it can take 1 to 3 weeks to get a visa for an American citizen. So me and Gio go on from Western Sahara, drop off the cameraman, he gets a flight home, and we continue on our own into Mali.
Pay for
I need a string.
hour and whatever.
I would, yeah. We have a visa for Mauritania. Our visas though only last 15 days instead of 30. I think the problem came was because we put down we were only going to be in the country for 7, and they took that to mean that we weren't going to be there very long, so they gave us the shortest visas they do. It shouldn't really affect the trip because our visa runs out on the 24th, mine does, of August, and we were hoping to be in Bamako and gone by the 21st. My personal feeling is that I want to get as far as we can, as quickly as we can, to give us enough time to sell the vehicles in Bamako. Bravo. Wow.
Walking down the road and I can't see where I've gone. I'm walking 90 miles an hour in the wrong direction. Yeah, where will I go? Where will I stay? I need something now to help me on my way. Still you tell me that I'm still strong. I said free your mind in your open time. You might just find that you're not alone when you take your soul on that open road.
Found out something new. A red sign means you have to stop, whether or not they ask you to or call you over, because normally they come out onto the road and they either wave you on or they call you to the side. They were already seeing 2 other vehicles, so we'd slowed down to like 20 kilometers an hour. We're about to go past and then they shouted over to us. So we pulled over to the side. Apparently it's an infringement. If you see a red sign like that, you have to stop. So he wanted 700 dirham per car. He started off pretty aggressive. Just tried to talk to him in the limited French, but he actually spoke quite good English, and he likes tennis. So he started talking about tennis and started to relax a bit. And I told him, you know, we ain't got 700 dirham. He wasn't going to let us go without giving him anything. So I said to him, you know, do you smoke? And he said, oh yeah, you give me a cigarette? And I said, yeah. And he goes, 2 packets. And then I said, we're good to go, yeah? And he said, yeah, okay. He was quite friendly about it. It wasn't aggressive. I think he knew he had us. That's the first bribe we've done. I'd imagine there's going to be a fair few more, but I've only got like 6 packets of cigarettes left, so otherwise it's sweets or jelly beans. Barbecue has been the bane of our lives, trying to fill it in the top of the can. So now Gio got fed up with it.
I only bought that for the good of this trip.
Yeah, I know that.
Right, and I didn't put it into the budget. I should have put every single little thing that I bought into the budget. All that coal that I bought, I didn't put it into the budget at all.
Fair enough.
It was out the goodness of my heart that I bought.
I know.
For the good of this trip.
I'm totally with you on that. Well, like I say, if I'd have known it would have offended you, I thought it was a joke between me and you. I didn't realise it was going to cause anything. We're about an hour away from Leaoun. It was a bit of a strange place, to be honest, because there's lots of armed guards. It's just as you enter the Western Sahara, which is kind of a disputed territory between Morocco and the people who live here. And it seems to be a base for the UN peacekeeping force, as well as Moroccan soldiers. It felt very safe, but at the same time, I wondered why there was so much security around. It made me a little uneasy. We've got quite a long drive now. We've got about 5.5 hour drive before we get to a place called Dakar, and that's where we drop off our cameraman, who's going to get a flight home. You see the lights, you might be able to see the lights on the distance there. Really nice hotel, but it was 1,000 dirham a night. 2,000 dirham if you wanted an ocean view, which is like nearly 100 quid a night. So we can't afford that. So we come down the road a couple of 100 meters, and it's 100 dirham a night instead. No cars either direction, which is a little strange because, you know, every road before that we've always seen somebody quite easy. You can see Gio there standing at that passport office. We were given a ticket on entry and they're searching a couple of the cars around here. We got through the border just then, but we got stopped about 3 times. One to check the vehicles, we needed to declare at customs, and then there was an army base and they checked the paperwork and do all the gumph, and you sit there for a while. As long as you got your carte grise, which is your V5, and you've got your passport and the temporary importation document, it just takes a lot of time and there's a lot of stops. I'm just following a very well-worn road. If you don't follow it, you could very well get blown up by mines, because there is a minefield around here. And that's one hell of a border. We parked up to fill out some paperwork. It was a temporary importation document. All the time, all these guys were coming up to us, various different languages, trying to, you know, get in. We come out of that first place after bribing some guards, and this guy was standing there with a ticket. And he was at the window knocking, and I was like, I don't want a ticket. He wrote one out anyway, but I didn't take it off him. Went back to Gio's car, and he was doing the same thing.
He handed me one. It's a parking ticket. There's nothing in the rule book that says that they can charge us for parking. It's very, very, very different to Morocco. They seem to respect your privacy. I'm not one normally for getting scared in situations like that, but I felt quite threatened at some point. And when you've got one brushing here, one coming in front of you there, all of a sudden he goes, "Very nice watch you've got." Straight away I said, "Fake, not real, not real." And our passport was going from one person to another, to another, to another. Then it'd come back to us. Then someone else would take it off us. Then it'd go to another person. They'd give it back to you. And someone else would come up to you. You had to pay real attention, because you lose your passport, you know, in all that melee, and you're not going anywhere.
So if you need to bribe someone, I got my trick. This works perfectly. It's Ramadan, but I don't know because I'm British. Bonbon! Bonbon! Oh, no, 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 no. And then he backed way out the way of the car, like he was afraid of them. And then he was like, you know, bon voyage. We just got to play it safe, really. On this stretch of road that we're on right now, there were kidnappings last year, so we want to be very careful.
There's an old man standing at the corner, and the rain is dropping in his shoes. And he looks at you as you walk briskly by, and you think, what's nice clothes are torn, but stained and warm. Still staring at you.
8 column, 9 column.
Have you got any idea what that means?
You give it 2,500.
No, 1,500. I give you 5.
One, yes.
1,500.
100, 5,000.
1,500.
crowds. Yeah, the millions of faces that walk up ahead with the permanent frowns. But just as you forget.
Yeah, well, we're just leaving Nouakchott now. We spent 2 days here just mainly to recuperate. And visas took about 4 hours to process instead of the usual 1 hour. We're getting stopped all the time at every single barricade. I've had to handwrite my fiche. Fiche is a document that you give to the guards that says all the key stuff like your passport information and blah 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 blah. They barely even check it, but they ask for it every time. and each time they want presents.
Gracias. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
Merci.
They're not arsy about it, but it wears you down after a while. When we stopped for fuel at one station, the guy made us wait while he went in the back, and he was talking on the phone. And he came out 3 or 4 minutes later and said there's no fuel here. And then we went to the next garage, and then he went on his phone as well while he was filling up the cars. The security situation at the moment makes it very difficult to enjoy yourself while you're out here. We've made it to Kiefer. We didn't get any further than that. I think we both got some form of mild sunstroke today, and we're both feeling really like we're moving in slow motion. We were passing people all the time who weren't driving in it. They'd stopped at the side of the road and were sleeping underneath the cars during the afternoon, so there weren't many people on the roads. The hotel we're in, it's got FC Barcelona sheets, and most importantly, it's actually got air-con, which I'm pretty surprised about. From Kiefer to Ayen-Elatrus, one of the worst roads I've ever been on. It's more dangerous to use the road than it is to go off-road. It took us 4 or 5 hours to do 100 miles. The border experience was a lot better, a lot less intimidating. It was still chaos though. We filled out a sort of fiche. He stamped our passports to leave Mauritania. We had to pay him $10. And then you get to another bit and they check your passport, make sure it's stamped. And then you go to another bit, which is the Mali end. They give you another stamp to say you've entered Mali. I feel a lot more welcome here than I have in any of the other countries we've visited. Okay, you join us currently on the run from the police of Nairo. Can't have the light on. We are parked at the side of the road. We've blacked out our number plates.
Basically what happened was we got into a small town called Nero. We were trying to find somewhere to stop, just a room basically. We ended up going down the wrong way on a one-way system. A policeman was quite quick to pick up on this. Took our V5s off us, what they call carte grise, and he basically told us that we'd have to go to the police station. It was getting quite dark. Dan left me with the vehicles, which within minutes was surrounded by people.
When I was talking to the guard, I said I'll give you $10. He eventually agreed, but I only had $2 in my wallet, so I gave him it and I said I'll get the rest from the car. Eventually he gave me the paperwork and then we disappeared. We got lost and we ended up in the same point again.
The policeman tried to get me to enter the compound. It didn't look the safest option, so I refused that.
And I leaned out the window and spoke to a guy and said, which way to Bamako? And he said straight on, rather than going round.
So basically we tried to lose the police.
Then the big question was, do we go on to Bamako? Because we arrived when one of the border things was closed. If there is something that we need and we don't have it, they could be just like those guards, if not a lot worse. Gio's going to stay up till 1 in the morning, and then I'm going to stay up from 1 in the morning till sunrise. Pretty rough night's sleep with the mosquitoes. We've just driven back to the border. We just finally got through. We had to get a laissez-passer, but again, he wanted a bribe just to sign the bloody document, about $50. We managed to get him down to 25, and he said that we could go to jail, but he did it anyway. Then we had to go to the police station on the way to Neuro. It was a bit of a nerve-wracking moment because I thought it was going to be the same police station that was chasing us, but luckily there's a police station just before that, and they didn't know who we were.
To the T, and then you try to make us see that what you're doing is our logical next step. But the truth of it, the thick of it, what all it boils down to is the dollar signs in your very green eyes. Try to tease us.
Almost there.
With your
last stage.
We'll stick to our
Just on. Okay. This is the VIN number.
Okay. Yeah, this one is fine. It's fine.
We sort voitures, then commission. Not commission voitures, voitures, commission.
What?
We sell, we finish this, fini, then commission, we deal.
Okay.
I will make sure that you get your commission.
C'est bon?
Fine. Toilet cholesterol. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to sign it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
There's no problem.
We can't drive these cars.
Once this is signed over, we can't drive it.
If I bring it to my house, you want to sign it?
No, we've got places to go.
Huh?
Where's your driver?
Listen something. You know, this car don't have this place title. If I drive it now, police want to tell me where you drive a car. It's not mine. You can.
No.
Yeah.
I have that. So you can drive, no problem. But you know the laissez-passer?
Yeah.
That's what he needs to drive it. Laissez-passer un.
Yeah. For one.
Laissez-passer deux.
Two. Okay.
You take the front page, we take the second.
You've got to remember that he'd take commission from
I
us.
take commission?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know nothing about this.
Oh, yeah.
My cousin tell me you have a car. I don't know this car.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Commission, euro, okay? No. 5% of this euro. Okay? Okay. Okay, I've got the money.
We just sat here and we spotted a bit of paper on the table, which looked to us as the split for the two guys. On closer inspection,
It's the names and the amounts of all the people that have put in for them to buy the car. Because the guy showed up with a massive wad of CFA, cash.
which was bound in the centre of this. There's 12 people that have put in $2.5 million to buy our vehicles. Quite impressive, because they only had a day, 24 hours basically,
Managed to find 8 people.
You thought you made up your mind.
Ticket is here.
You thought you'd been there before. Did you ask me how I was feeling? To be sure. And when you look back in time, could you say that you?
It was quite a fine line, really, because we knew that we only had a touch in 3 weeks. You know, not seeing particular sites and stuff in certain countries didn't really bother me too much, because the end goal always was to get to Bamako. And believe it or not, we got to Bamako and we sold the vehicles on the actual day that we'd planned to come back on, and we flew back on the day that we said that we'd fly back on. My apprehension started quite a few months before we left, and I was just online and I thought I'd put in Mali kidnappings, and all of a sudden an article came up which stated that I think it was 3 French tourists that had been kidnapped on the border of Mauritania and Mali. And I thought, oh my Lord, great, that's great, that is, because that's exactly the border that we're going to be crossing. Okay, that's 3 people, but 3 people out of how many? You know, there's probably 20, 30, 40,000 people that potentially do that road every year. You know, I was more than willing to take that risk for the joys of adventure. Things that stick in your mind, the memories and stuff, not the easy times, are the times that are taxing and that test you mentally and physically. I absolutely would do the trip again. The only change that I'd make really would be I'd have taken out the whole of Europe and started in North Africa. If there was a way of, you know, shipping the vehicles to Morocco, I'd have done it that way and gone quite a bit further south, maybe into Senegal.
Play for a pizza? Yeah, what would you like?
The original plan was to do it on motorcycles. I think, thinking of it logistically now, I don't think it would have happened. You would have never been able to carry the amount of fuel that you needed. You know, working on a day-to-day basis, 6-7 days a week, I feel personally that I need to put myself in those situations, you know, taking yourself way out of your comfort zone. You know, it makes you think totally different, it puts you outside that box, and it increases your experiences as a person. And as you know, your experiences as a person make you who you are. I wouldn't think that a lot of people like that. Both of the vehicles are absolutely impeccable. They didn't skip a beat. I couldn't knock them. Mitsubishi Shoguns all the way. Anyone can do this trip. It was just a case of buying the vehicles and get out there and do it. take a couple of £100 with you and get on. You don't have to be a banker, you don't have to be a celebrity to do it. Get on and do it.
Where we are right now is in the music studio of one of the schools that I teach at. So we've been doing some A-level recording stuff, which is what I was just working on here. I think I would like to visit the desert again, just not under the circumstances we were there. When I was initially organising it, I hadn't taken into account the fact it was Ramadan. I mean, we were in Rabat for 4 days where we pretty much didn't eat anything but pastry because it was the only place that was open was a pastry shop. We sold the cars for more than we bought them, which was astonishing because I'd been told that you could sort of sell a car for a profit out there, but I didn't really believe it. The mental side was, I guess, more challenging because you were dealing with people and you were dealing with situations that you didn't really know what would happen. It's made me think about how lucky we are in developed countries. I never realised how much corruption there actually is. And some people like that because you can get away with anything if you've got money out there. The local people themselves in all the countries we visited were generally quite friendly. It was more the authorities that weren't very friendly at all. I don't know, I think they resented us being there a lot of the time. When I did talk to my dad, in terms of the authorities and the sort of intimidation we were getting, he never suffered from any of that sort of stuff. You know, like the border checkpoints every 2 or 3 miles. He never had that. He would drive for 500, 600 miles and there'd be nobody. He wouldn't see anyone at all. I will never forget, there were really nice people that helped us out. There was a taxi driver in Mauritania who sort of showed us around, took us to the embassies and talked to us because he could speak a bit of English. And then there was the guy in Mali who sold us the cars. He cooked me this massive chicken thing with rice and I was starving. And the nuns as well. Jane, I think her name was. She was a really nice nun and that's why we gave all the stuff that we had at the end of the trip to the nunnery. I wanted to do it on a motorbike because that's what my dad did it on in the 70s. But I was told that you can't carry enough supplies. But there's enough towns and enough on offer. I think we would have been left alone more on a motorbike, whereas a car packed full of equipment is a bigger target. I think I'd like to go to the opposite of what I was going through there. So instead of the really hot and dealing with people, I want to go really cold and not dealing with any people. There's a place in Greenland where there's a mountain range and a lot of the peaks have never been climbed, so I thought it would be a really cool thing is to go to Greenland, walking across it and climb a peak that hasn't been climbed before.